A man was driving his car at night when suddenly the tire burst in front of the mental hospital. He got out of the car to change the tire. After removing the tire, he accidentally dropped and lost all 4 nuts. He was looking around helplessly when a crazy person watching him from the window called out, "Hey, what are you looking for there?" "I lost the nuts for the tire. I'm looking for them. You won't find them. I suggest you take 1 nut from each of the other 3 tires and use them. That should get you to the mechanic." The man immediately followed the crazy person's advice. Just as he was about to hit the road, he asked the crazy person out of curiosity, "You seem to be so clever. What are you doing there?" "We're here because of madness, not stupidity." Once upon a time, countries decided to build a spaceship and send it to Mars. It was decided that the chosen individuals would only have 1 food option and would be fed with it for 10 years. The chosen ones were a German, a Frenchman, and Tamel. They asked in turn, "German, what will be your food for 10 years?" The German said, "I can live without anything, but I can't live without beer. Give me enough beer for 10 years. The Frenchman said, "I don't need anything. Just give me some of my country's quality wines." Then it was Tamel's turn. Tamel said, "I don't want anything. Just give me my cigarettes." Years passed, and the spaceship landed. Everyone was eagerly waiting for the passengers to disembark. The German came out first, and he had gained so much weight from drinking beer that he had become obese. The Frenchman came out next. His head was spinning, and he was so drunk that he could barely stand. He staggered out. Finally, Tamel jumped out with great speed and said, "Give me fire." One day, the police from 3 countries decided to conduct a joint exercise. In the exercise, a tiger would be released into the forest, and the team that caught it earliest would win. The first country begins, releases the tiger, and returns with the tiger 20 minutes later. The second country begins, acts faster, and returns with the tiger 15 minutes later. Finally, the third country, where Tamel is, begins. They release the tiger, search, and 10 minutes later, our police officers return with a bear that looks beaten up. The jury says, "We released the tiger, and you came back with a bear. What is this disgrace?" The bear speaks up, "Guys, I swear, I'm the tiger." 2 crazy people were walking on the road. The first crazy person said, "I'm thirsty." The second crazy person said, "Since you're going, get me something to drink too." The first crazy person said, "Okay," and went. 10 minutes later, he came back laughing. The second crazy person asked, "What happened?" The first crazy person said, "Oh, I drank clean water in my place and dirty water in your place." There was a poop-eating contest. Our guy Tamel participated. The race started and he began to eat with a spoon. While leading the competition, he vomited. They asked, "Why did you vomit?" He replied, "A hair came out." A man was stopped by the police for running a red light. The officer asked for his driver's license and registration. The man replied, "I don't have them with me. I was drinking at a friend's house. I think I had too much. I'm a bit drunk. I must have forgotten them there." The police officer was surprised. No driver's license or registration, plus alcohol. He went to tell his supervisor about the situation. The supervisor came, asked the man for his driver's license and registration, and the man immediately took them out and handed them over. The supervisor was astonished. He then took out a breathalyzer and get the man to blow into it, but there was not a trace of alcohol in his system. Confused, the supervisor said, "The officer told me you were drunk and didn't have your license with you." The clever man replied to the supervisor, "Don't mind him, he doesn't seem to be doing too well. He might tell you next that I ran a red light." Tamel and Dursun go to the cinema one day. In the movie, there is a horse racing scene, and Tamel asks Dursun, "Care to bet?" "I say the first horse will win." Dursun replies, "Okay, I'll bet on the second horse." Tamel wins the bet and takes Dursun's 10 million. The next day, Tamel calls Dursun, "Tamel, you know yesterday's movie? I had watched it before, so I felt guilty and called you." Dursun, "I had watched it too." "Then why did you bet on the second horse?" "I made a surprise bet. Maybe it would win." Dursun applied for a job. As part of the application, they asked Dursun for 8 passport-sized photos, along with some documents. However, Dursun did not know what a passport-sized photo was, so he immediately went to his friend Temel, the wise man, and explained the situation to him. Temel said, "As far as I know, a passport-sized photo is a photo taken from the waist up. Dig a hole here and get in. I'll bring the camera. We'll take your photo and be done with it," he said. Dursun started digging a hole, and Temel went to get the camera. When Temel returned, he saw something unexpected. Dursun had dug 8 holes. Temel asked, "Why did you dig 8 holes, Dursun?" Dursun replied, "I need 8 photos. That's why." Temel exclaimed, "You fool, I had already brought 8 cameras." In one of the salons of the Titanic, a magician used to perform every evening. He was really skilled but had a problem. In one corner of the salon, there was a parrot that would reveal the magician's tricks just when the magic was about to happen. For example, it would say, "He threw the card into his shirt," or "There's a rabbit in that hat," in its ugly voice. The magician would get really angry with the parrot, but since it was the captain's parrot, he couldn't do anything. Then the Titanic hit an iceberg and sank, and the magician managed to survive by climbing onto a door that had come off the ship. The next morning, what does he see? The parrot is also standing on the same door. For 3 days and nights, they stared at each other on that door. The magician didn't say anything, nor did the parrot, but in the end, the parrot couldn't resist. "Okay, I give up. I couldn't figure out what you did to the ship." Three friends went to the train station. One of them approached the ticket booth, bought a ticket, and asked how much time there was until the train departed. The ticket clerk replied, "An hour and 15 minutes. The man said, "We have plenty of time. Let's go have tea at that cafe across the street." Suddenly, they snapped out of it when they heard the train whistle. They rushed outside, but the train had already left. They learned that the next train was in an hour and a half. They returned to the cafe, had more tea, and once more heard the whistle. They ran, but they missed the train again. They learned that there was another train in an hour. They returned to the cafe, but this time they stayed alert. As soon as they heard the train, they jumped up and started running. 2 of them barely made it onto the train. The third friend fell behind and couldn't catch up. The friend who missed the train started laughing uncontrollably. The station attendant, seeing this, couldn't help but ask, "You missed the train, and why are you laughing?" The friend replied, "They came to see me off." When the teacher entered the classroom, she saw 2 boys arguing and scolded them. "Why are you arguing?" One of the boys replied, "We found $10 and decided to give it to whoever tells the biggest lie." The teacher got angry and said, "You should be ashamed of yourselves. When I was your age, I didn't even know what a lie was." The boys handed the $10 to the teacher. In a village, road construction was underway. The villagers were building the road where one of the donkeys had passed through. A passing engineer saw them, became curious, and approached them. "Hello, what are you doing here?" he asked. The villager replied, "We're building a road." The engineer continued, "But what about this donkey?" The villager generally explained it as follows. The donkey decided where the road would pass, and the road was built where it passed. The engineer fell on the ground, laughing. He said in a sarcastic tone, "Well," he said, "what do you do when there's no donkey?" The villager replied, "Then we call an engineer."